I have something I want to share with you, but I want to ask my experts what do they think about it. So I need, and Nick is on the phone, so I need James, and I would like for James and Chris, and Joel is already here to come into the studio. And I want to ask them about this before I put my 2 cents in on it. So my experts are here today. It's a Thursday. I don't think they normally here on Thursdays. I think they're normally here on Fridays. Here. Is it here or here? If you're black, it's here. If you're white, it's here. So my experts are here.
Here.
And they don't know what I don't think I mentioned what to them this morning in the meeting what I thought about this. I definitely want to hear, see what they think about it. Have the next generation take over. So Joel is here, my audio engineer, and the founder of the Gifted of Dance, an amazing dance academy.
Nice.
Amazing. And James is here from the HakeReport.com. At one time was my producer before Nick came. And because I just think men should constantly be moving up in life. Have your own little thing, grow. Don't get stuck anywhere. So James is here from the HakeReport.com every day except Saturday at 9 a.m. And Chris is here. He white. James has good hair and Joel black. And Nick is Mexican. We don't know what Nick is at this point.
It's weird to see James in that chair. It's like, what's going on here?
I know. Have you? And Nick is here. Nick is my social media guy and doing an amazing job too. It's
Chris.
Huh?
You said Nick, Chris.
Chris. Did I say Chris?
You said Nick.
Oh man, they all look alike.
Mexican.
So I want to kind of lay this out, and I want to hear what you guys have to say about it, all of you.
All right.
So this is from ESPN. I found this story online. Sometimes I'm online. I'm just kind of looking through my computer. I run up on stuff. I don't know how I get it. It's an accident. But there's this guy by the name of, this is from ESPN, Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps. And he described how he is handling the Chinese virus. And Michael Phelps is at one time, I don't know if he's still doing it, a swimmer. Right. And he was really, really good at doing that. So he talks about how he is handling the Chinese virus. Here's the first soundbite on that.
Set against the backdrop of the pandemic, how would you describe the mental health issues that so many millions are facing now?
I mean, for me personally, it's been probably the toughest stretch that I've ever gone through. I mean, there's so many uncertainties, and we're just basically fighting to make sure we stay in some kind of routine. I had some thoughts that I probably shouldn't have had, and that weren't good to have. So I just tried to fight it myself, and it got me to a pretty scary situation. And I'll say my wife is somebody who single-handedly really helped me get through it. And it's just so powerful when you're able to stand up and talk about your struggles.
That was Michael. He also wrote some points about what he's going through as well on ESPN. And Michael described how he is handling the pandemic in more detail in this article. Nonstop. Excuse me. He says, nonstop. My mood jumps up and down. People who live with mental health issues are known, all know this. People who live with mental health issues all know this. He goes on to say, it never goes away. Here is the reality. I won't ever be cured. This would never go away. He says, my emotions are all over the place. I am always on edge. I am always defensive. There are times where I feel absolutely worthless, where I have where I have this bubbling anger that is through the roof. And the last thing he says, the other night, I had a blow up with my wife. It wasn't good. But at the same time, I was able to let out all those pent up emotions. Sometimes you need that. It was hard, but I feel so much better today. That's Michael. And so there's so much I realized from this, but I was like, let me ask my experts first. I just thought of it as I was coming into the studio. You know, they're millennials and they're learning and growing. Joel, what do you think about, what's your response to Michael?
Well, he just, to me, sounds like a person who is just, has zero direction or understanding of how to properly deal with anything. There's just so many things that are apparent there, like the fact that calling it mental health it seems crazy to me. The fact that he said that it's never gonna go away, and then he blew up on his wife and said that felt good. It's just all the backwards things, but that just goes to show that most celebrities, and you notice that most celebrities who are the most famous, who are the most talented, are the ones with the most issues. So it just goes to show that he just has no direction.
What do you say, Chris?
The way he's reacting right now seems like it's a general symptom of the society that we live in, and that is to basically reward weakness, because for some reason, people think that getting sympathy from other people is what they're looking for, instead of true love. In a sense that you get that from, God or, your parents, that type of thing. But they're completely unaware of it. But yeah, that's clearly kind of like what's going on there. He's basically acting like a woman. He's emotional, all this stuff. And yeah, I mean, he's just trying to get rewarded with sympathy and that type of stuff. It's a sad state that men are in today.
What do you say about that? What the way his response is?
It is Mental Health Awareness Month. And
well, thank you.
and he was featured in that thing that I told you guys about. I don't know if you were listening, but I read this thing called The Skim.
And what thing was this?
It was this advertisement in The Skim, which is a news outlet, saying it's Mental Health Awareness Month and we're advertising this thing, and Michael Phelps is involved in it, and he talks about how he would benefited from counseling, and they do this online counseling thing. And I remember hearing about his life years ago. We wanted to have him on the show and stuff like that because crazy things about his relationship with his mother and with his father, like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he's always had these crazy issues, and he's like an extreme version of what I think most people are dealing with. But maybe because his family is so messed up. I'm surprised. I guess I'm not surprised that he's married and acting this way in front of his wife.
Does he have any children?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
But
Nick said he has 3 sons.
Okay. Dang.
Joel has pictures of them.
And it's so ridiculous that he says, I don't know how he knows or how anybody claims to know that he will never get over this. Who told him that? And how do they know that?
It's the drama. That's what it feeds into all that by using that type of language. Like, it's never going to get better. Like, I'm my ups and downs. It's a constant battle.
It feels good to say that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I wouldn't feel good saying that.
But that's what the experts tell people. You're never going to get better.
Where's the evidence? I thought this was science.
So here's a pill. Take these pills. At least you can deal with it if you take the pills.
Yeah.
There's his 3 sons.
I don't know if he's on pills or not. Oh, those are his sons?
Yeah.
Is that a white woman he married to, or Mexican?
She looked mixed, kind of Mexican and white, maybe.
Is he white?
Yeah.
And what is she?
Pretty sure he's white.
She looks kind of mixed, like Joel said. Maybe like I mean, I don't know, maybe Italian or something.
Ain't no pure people no more.
It's funny because he seemed kind of
trying to get it that way, but
Where are the pure people?
it's falling apart.
It's such a shame because now he's like docile, and he used to be young and wild, happy, seemingly happy, right? Of course, now we know he wasn't, but he was, successful and everything, and he would get into trouble sometimes, like he would. I don't know, drugs or something.
He was smoking pot when he was an Olympian. I think they took his medals away from him, actually, for smoking pot.
Something happened like that. I'm not sure what it was. I forgot. He was born in Maryland, I'm told. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, what would you, if, let's say he walked into your office, Chris, and he's like, Chris, I have mental issues.
Don't do that.
What?
You're thumping.
Pound.
Oh,
No thumping.
no thumping. But he would be with the mental illness.
Phelps would be doing that.
Oh, yeah, that's. Help me. How do I get over it? What would you say to him? What would you recommend?
I would ask him, I guess he might just repeat what he said on that interview, but I would ask him like what he genuinely thinks is wrong with him right now. And then I would try.
And he would say, I'm stressed. I got mental illness. I'm never getting over it.
Yeah. And the first thing
This is mental illness month.
the first thing I would say is stop acting like a woman. That's the first thing I would say.
That would cool him down.
Yeah.
No man want to be told to act like a woman.
I would back him up and put him in a defensive state. No, that's probably
Violence.
no, that's not the best thing. I mean, I would ask him, what's going on with his relationship with his parents. Be more specific about what's going on with his wife and with his children. And I would ask him what he thinks the right way. What he thinks right now is the right way to fix these problems, and then I would try to steer him towards just being more aware of what actually is wrong with him, instead of, because he thinks like, oh, my mental illness is never going to go away and I'm emotional all the time. And yeah, I would just try to steer him into the right way of dropping the emotion, forgiving his parents and all that type of stuff. Because it's tough to say these celebrity types. I mean, he's an athlete, not like an actor or something like that, not an entertainer or anything like that. But they go on TV and they act, basically. They're putting on a facade. So I don't know what he truly thinks,
Right.
like what's going on. So I would try to get to the truth of the matter, what he actually thinks is going on. But then, again, I would try to steer him in the way of,
And so, Joel,
that
let's
type of
say
stuff.
he ran into your dance studio one night while you
He wanted
teaching.
some lessons.
And he was like, Joel, you black, stop the music. I'm having mental health issues. I just went off on my wife. It would never go away. What would you recommend
Well,
as to how he can overcome this?
I would have to get more information for one, kind of like what Chris said, but I would have to just understand more of what the actual issue is, instead of, because I can't really give like a blanket type answer of, what you should do, go forgive, just because you kind of need more details to kind of like Chris said, lead somebody in a better direction. So I would have to see like, okay, well, what's really going on? But I wanted to make a quick point off of what James had said. He said that he's not surprised that a woman would be with him or something like that. Is that what you
A
said?
woman what?
A woman
I
would
was a
be
little
with
yeah.
a person like Michael Phelps. Yeah. And
But they have no choice. All the men are like that.
that's what I'm saying, is like that's so normal that women feel like the natural state of them is to be the mama to the men. So it's so
I mean, he is
so
rich,
normal.
though.
And-
He has a lot
and
of
he's
status.
rich. But yeah, that's what I would have to get more information, basically.
What would you recommend, James? He ran it on your show one day while you're in the studio. Hey, guys.
Hey,
Hey guys.
I would.
He was like, James, Hake, stop your show. I have mental illness problem. I just went off on my wife. I would never get over this. And you would say, hey, stop the show, guys. I got to help Michael. And what would you say?
I would say just don't be trusting these experts because he's just repeating stuff that they're saying, and there's no evidence that they help anybody get better. There's no evidence that they can't that you don't get over it, or I mean, I guess under them they never get over it. But it's because he's a celebrity. They are like what he said. They are in this padded room of these experts where you have to be politically correct. You have to listen to what they say. They know what's best, and it seems like they're more susceptible to falling to because of the pressure of ostracization. If you're a celebrity, you can lose your status if you go outside of what they're saying. You have more to lose by following your own path. Look at Kanye. I mean, he's nuts too still, right? But he's following his own path, and he's being ostracized like crazy.
Yeah.
And whereas there's no stakes for us, we don't lose anything by listening to Jesse Lee Peterson and thinking for ourselves and not listening to these people that he was brought up in that. He was talented from a young age, and that I don't know. It seems like he didn't really have.
Is Kanye West still saved? Is he still? I haven't heard anything about him lately.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Is he still out there saved?
Yeah, I think he's
Saved?
I think he's still doing the Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday services?
Probably not right now with the Corona thing going on, but prior to the Chinese virus stuff, he was doing the Sunday services and
Right, I remember that.
that type of stuff.
But he still does it.
I don't think he's still doing it with the Chinese virus going on.
The Chinese virus is anti-Christian.
So real fast,
Yeah.
Joel, what's the solution to mental illness?
For one, stop calling it mental illness. I think that's the first step of the solution. Is stop calling it mental illness because that just seems like a setup in itself. Mental illness. It just sounds kind of silly, but I don't really know. I mean, I just need more. I just need more. Direction. It seems too broad to say how would you stop it. Besides saying, go, forgive and get over the anger, because everybody knows, not everybody, but we know you should do that. But it's like, what's causing this kind of stuff? Like, why are you, thinking this way? And is it really that genuine in, as dramatic as he's making it seem, or is it, he's just pumping his ego to sound good on TV?
So are you able to tell him how to overcome mental illness?
Stop calling it mental illness.
Oh, okay. What's the solution, Hake, to overcoming mental illness?
I don't know. He should be.
Michael's in trouble.
He should.
He wanted his money back.
Suffer.
You didn't pay me anything, but even if you paid me, I wouldn't be able to help him. But I would say, like, maybe try prayer instead of pills.
I know what prayer can do. Prayer will see you through. Pray in the morning, pray at night. Oh, prayer. No.
Because this is like a.
Is that black?
So black. Hallelujah.
They've turned their expertise and pills and I'll never get over this type of teaching into their new religion. And it's replaced true religion. So I think that if he could break out of his mindset a little bit, if he really believes these people, if he really believes what he's claiming to believe, which even if he doesn't, that's awful that he's saying that. So regardless, he needs to cut that out.
Yeah. What's the solution, Chris, to mental illness?
To mental illness?
Yes.
Well, mental illness is basically the worldly version of, spiritual decline, spiritual atrophy. Like James was saying, there's sort of this new religion of self-help and, getting your mental state back in order. And there's basically a worldly version of the spiritual stuff that we kind of talk about and address. And a lot of the celebrities like fall into that category. Like they think they have mental problems, so they do yoga, and they go to India to visit like gurus and things like that, or they take prescription pills and all that stuff, and they're just addressing it in a worldly way, in an earthly way, the human way. And realistically, from what I understand, or at least from what I think I understand right now, that spiritual, the spiritual is what our mental state is like on the earth. And unless he addresses the spiritual aspect of it, he just will keep, perpetuating. But again, I really don't know if he's being genuine or anything like that. If he knows that he's acting it up, and when he gets off the camera, he's like, the head of the wife, the wife or anything like that. I don't know his true heart. I don't really know.
Amazing. I just realized I want to know from the chat people, what is the solution to mental illness? This is mental illness. Good morning, chat folks. All our friends on the chat line there, even the ones who hate us yet on our chat. Good morning. But there is a solution and a way to overcome mental illness. In the last word about this, Chris? I mean, these are my experts, folks. Amazing experts.
Yeah, stop being a beta male. Simple as.
It is so cringe-inducing for him to be talking like that. I don't care what he really believes. It's ridiculous.
Especially having a
like
wife
that.
and sons.
Yeah.
Bad example for the
To be
sons.
honest, that's evil that he would repeat that nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know your last word?
I think even bigger than calling it mental illness, which is crazy, but even bigger than that is making such a big deal about what you're dealing with, because it seems like more of the dramatics you put to it, the deeper you put yourself into the problem. So I would just also say not to make it such a big deal.
All right. So those are my experts.